I'm here to talk to you not about Civil War. As you may have seen, I recently had a bit of a meltdown about Civil War, and that has got me thinking about a few other things. Now, you might not think this all ties in, but just give me a minute. What's the deal with everyone in comics being straight? I live in the world, and in the world, people are all things. They are attracted to a manner of different things. Same gender, different gender, whatever, everything in between. Why don't comics reflect that? I mean, we've got a couple of characters that aren't straight. Marvel's Hercules has been bisexual before, not sure if he is post-reboot. Wolverine has been bisexual before, Midnighter is gay, Batwoman is probably the most famous gay woman in comics, but there's really not very many, and especially not very many of the main characters. However, that's not to say other characters can't come out, or new characters, or different versions of characters, and this is where Civil War comes in. If you've seen the first Captain America movie, or Captain America Winter Soldier, you've got to admit they're kind of gay. And this is the best thing ever, because Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers is pretty much the most eternal love story of all time. Consider this. Captain America in the comics, Steve Rogers, is currently not Captain America. He's gone all old and grumpy, and he's wearing like the super soldier suit, but like he's not officially being Captain America, so he's kind of not around. Falcon has taken over. Winter Soldier is between titles right now. Neither of them are kind of around, so the only stuff we have of Steve Rogers and Bucky is in the movies. Now, what would be the problem with making our movie versions, which admittedly are all different? All the movie versions of all the characters we know are completely different to the comic versions. So what's the trouble in making one of our mainstream Avengers not straight? And I say not straight as opposed to any of the number of other things they could be, because really any of them would be a step up. And there needs to be a bit more visibility. We're getting there with visibility for people of colour and women slowly, but the different sexualities still haven't caught up. We're still not quite there. So why not make one of our Avengers bisexual / gay / whatever? I don't get why that can't be a thing, and Captain America would kind of be the logical choice to at least be bisexual or pansexual, considering we know he's had kind of a thing with Peggy, and his story with Bucky is not straight. I don't know many straight best friends that would say, "I'm with you till the end of the line," with tears in their eyes. Just say it. I mean, if you watch the first Captain America or Winter Soldier with this kind of potential romance in the back of your head, both films make a lot more sense. I mean, just watch the bar scene in the first Captain America. Come on, someone was directing them to not be straight in that scene, let me tell you. Why can't we have a bisexual Captain America? Imagine how much of a big, awesome thing that would be for Marvel to come out and be like, yo, one of our, if not the main Avenger is not a straight guy. Captain America is the obvious choice. He's got no other romantic leads, considering Peggy is about 500 years old, and Bucky is kind of always there. He's quite clearly in love with him. I mean, check out some of the way they look at each other in the Civil War trailer. How much evidence do you need? Just a few extra things I thought of after I finished filming, a whole day later. A couple of points I just want to make because I am anticipating comments about them. Number one, I predict people are going to say, if you want gay characters, why not just make new characters? Well, the problem with that is already established characters really have a much bigger chance of drawing attention and sales, especially in the comics. So making up new characters just for the purpose of them fitting into LGBT things isn't great, because they typically won't get as much exposure. So it does make more sense to have an existing big character be the figurehead of that sort of thing. Secondly, I just want to add that adding the whole gay or bisexual thing to Captain America specifically adds a whole new level of tragic backstory, considering that he was born and brought up in the 30s and 40s when it was not a cool thing. So him and Bucky having to live through a time having these feelings and not being able to do anything about them is like a whole new layer to add to the story. It also explains why their story would be so full of angst now when they are reunited. The movies are the most logical choice to do it with. They reach a much wider audience than the comic books, and it would be a big high five to Marvel to be brave enough to do that. It would also show some serious solidarity with the LGBT community, which would be amazing for such a huge company, bearing in mind it's Marvel and Disney and the Lucas Arts all smushed into one. It would be amazing for such a huge company to be like, yo, we support you, so here is a character that reflects that. I think maybe if Marvel was an English company or a UK company, then they might have done that, only because the UK generally seems a couple of steps ahead from the US in terms of equality and acceptance. Unfortunately, they are a big US company, and a lot of America still has a bit of a problem. I am no doubt going to get called out for being some sort of fandom weirdo and a shipper and all that stuff, and yes, I proudly accept that. I don't know how I feel about them using the almost temptation of that as a selling point, which they are. Like, that Civil War trailer is pretty much tailored to the Stucky fandom, and Stucky is Steve and Bucky being a thing. So I think they are, well, they're almost definitely aware of it. I'm not sure how I feel about them almost exploiting that. I mean, it's great as a fan to be like, this is the closest it's gonna get, but it's also a bit rude to like build up this relationship that we're never gonna see it come to fruition, and that is a bit sucky. I've heard about that happening a lot, especially with the Sherlock fandom. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. I'm probably gonna get a ton of people disagreeing. I just want to say that it would be awesome if they had some obvious out vocally LGBT characters. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I do hope so. All I guess we can do is, as fans, keep rallying for things like this and asking these huge multinational ridiculous conglomerate companies to represent us as human beings. Please don't be super offended. If you don't like the idea that Captain America might fancy boys and girls, then whatever, he's a fictional character. You probably just need to get over it and let people like what they like. Thank you for watching. If you want to follow me, you can do it on Facebook, which is facebook.com/thehollyringsale, on Twitter, which is @hollow, on Instagram, which is @hollow. You can also follow my shop at www.darksidecomics.co.uk, on Facebook darksidecomicsuk, on Twitter darksidecomic.uk, on Instagram darksidecomicsuk, and Tumblr darksidecomicsuk. I'll put all the links in the description box below, and I will see you on the dark side.